Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the channel. I am so happy to have you here. And today we are talking about eating out, going out to eat at restaurants while you are on your fat loss or weight loss journey and how to navigate those waters. And a lot of my clients who have previously struggled with yo-yo dieting, going out to eat, navigating those social events is typically a really big concern for them. And I know for me in my past journey, when I struggled with yo-yo dieting for over 10 years with restricting and binge eating, whenever I had a social event or I was going to go out to eat, it was stressful and I was constantly trying to plan and figure out what to eat, and I was so stressed about it. And then when I would get there, all of my plans I would just throw out the window. So I am going to sit down with you today and we are going to talk about how to navigate going out to eat and my best tips and practices that I use to this day that have helped me not just lose 30 pounds, but actually keep it off, and have helped my clients massively in their own fat loss journeys as well. And so I have my notes written down on my phone here, so I will be referencing them so that I don't lose track of any important thoughts that I had. And the first thing that I want to talk about that is a common theme that I definitely struggled with, but is a common theme with my clients as well, is just using alcohol as a social anxiety escape. And if you are anything like how I was, I would definitely consider myself more of an introvert. I'm a homebody, and whenever I go out to eat, whenever I have social events, I used to get massive social anxiety. And one of the ways that I would numb that is, you guessed it, alcohol. I love my wine. I loved my vodkas and my tequilas, and it was just such an easy way for me to turn my brain off and to not have to think about anything. I felt like it was more fun with alcohol. I felt like I could just be carefree. I could have fun conversations. Other people thought I was more fun. And even though it didn't align with my fat loss goals or my fitness goals, when I got to that table, when I got to the event, my anxiety and my stress would just take over my body, that all my healthy plans would go out the window, and I would just order as many drinks as possible so that I could soothe that very strong social anxiety that I experienced. And in ordering that alcohol would then lead me to order all the unhealthy food, and that would send me on a binging spiral, and I would beat myself up, and I would then try to restrict myself after that. And so the root cause of my binge eating on the weekends was really driven by my social anxiety and just not feeling confident or comfortable in my skin, in my personality, and feeling like I had to be somebody different in a social setting, in a public setting. And so I would use alcohol to help me become that person that I wanted to be that fun person. And so when it came to going out to eat and actually navigating my fat loss goals and my fitness goals, I really had to address my lack of self-confidence and my social anxiety, because that was the root cause of so many of my binges. Because again, the social anxiety would then cause me to overdrink, and the overdrinking would then cause me to overeat, and the overeating would then cause me to feel guilty, and the following day I would restrict, and then I would get myself back into that restricting and binging / overeating cycle. So when it comes to overcoming social anxiety, and most importantly, just learning how to love yourself and accept yourself as you are and not feel like you need to change, I had to stop comparing myself to my friends and other people who I saw as extroverted and so fun and the life of the party, because I felt like that's how I should be. And that's why I was drinking so much. And so for me, learning how to see other women and celebrate how unique and beautiful they are without feeling the need to be them or be like them, and understand, you know what? We all have our amazing, unique traits, and I don't need to be like anybody else. There's so much about me that is so unique and beautiful. Just like that girl, there's so much about her that is unique and beautiful. She doesn't need to be like me, and I don't need to be like her. And a big part of my journey was learning how to see other women and not compare myself and not feel like I need to look like them or be like them, and vice versa. Seeing how many unique and beautiful traits that I have that I love. And before I was focused on what I didn't like about myself and what I thought was inadequate about myself. And it wasn't until I shifted that mindset to stop looking at the things that I didn't like about myself and instead shift my focus to, what do I love about myself? What am I so proud of myself for? What is so unique and awesome and beautiful about me? And when I started shifting my mindset from, oh, this person is this way and she's awesome and likable and confident, so I need to be like that, I said, you know what? Good for her. She has these awesome traits and that's so wonderful, and I'm going to celebrate the heck out of that. But you know what? There are so many awesome and wonderful things about me, and it may not look like the qualities that she has, and that is completely okay. That is what makes the world such a beautiful place, is that we all have such unique and beautiful characteristics about each of us. And instead of focusing on what we think is inadequate or not enough, we need to shift our focus to what makes us unique and sets us apart from everybody else on this planet. That is what we should be celebrating. And when I started shifting my mindset to celebrate the things that I loved about myself, I stopped comparing myself to other women. I stopped feeling like I need to be extroverted when I would go out to eat. And that helped quell my social anxiety, and it helped me feel more centered and confident in who I was, in my introvertedness, in my ability to sit back and take in the environment without feeling the need to interject or make comedic conversation. I let all of that go, and that helped me feel confident in who I was. And because of that, I stopped drinking out of social anxiety. And because I stopped over drinking, I then stopped overeating, which helped me get out of that binging and then restricting cycle. So that was a pivotal part of my journey. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but I know that not just me, but so many of my clients experience the same social anxiety, which is what drives them to drink and then eat. And until we resolve that social anxiety and that ability to love and accept ourselves, we will find ourselves consistently stuck on that over drinking and overeating roller coaster. So that is the first step if you struggle with social anxiety and just being able to accept yourself. Okay. On that note, number 2 is managing your state. So again, social anxiety, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed. When we feel anxious and stressed, when we feel wound up, what do we want to do? Drink alcohol and eat junk food, right? And so when you are going out to eat, if you experience social anxiety, if you experience that comparison and not enoughness, if you experience feeling insecure around other people, that can lead you to get yourself into a negative state, a stress state, an anxious state, right? And so it's also about learning how to manage your state throughout your social event. And I know for me, it's really helpful to just, especially as an introvert, to take a step away from the dinner, from the event, maybe go to the restroom, or even just step outside, get some fresh air. Don't be afraid to excuse yourself from the table and just give yourself that alone time, even just 5 minutes to yourself, to regroup and recollect yourself if you notice yourself getting wound up or stressed or anxious for any reason. Again, if you are comparing yourself, if you are not happy with how the conversation's going. I know for a lot of us, relationships can be difficult to navigate at times. And obviously, when you're going out at a social event, who are you with? Other people. And so, depending on your relationship with that other person, if it triggers certain feelings within you that don't feel good for you, do not be afraid to excuse yourself from the table so that you can regroup, that you can calm yourself down, and that you can collect yourself so you can come back without feeling overly stressed and anxious and wound up, which would lead you to continue to overeat and overdrink. So that social anxiety and managing your state, they are one and the same, but we can find ourselves feeling out of sorts throughout a social event. Again, especially if it's with family and we may have tumultuous relationships with our family members, being able to be aware and mindful of the state that you are in, noticing if you are getting stressed, noticing if you are feeling anxious, and allowing yourself the room and space to step away from the dinner so that you can calm yourself down without the use of food and alcohol is such a beneficial and necessary skill to have to overcome yo-yo dieting and reach your fitness goals. All right, next one. Okay, if you are going out to eat and you know where you're going ahead of time, I highly recommend looking at the menu ahead of time and pre-deciding what you are going to have. So look at the menu, and I recommend ordering a dish that is focused mainly on high protein and vegetables. So that could be salmon and Brussels sprouts or chicken and green beans, but that will help you stay within your calorie goals, stay within your macro goals. Generally, it's going to be higher fiber and higher protein, so it's going to help fill you up without adding a massive amount of calories, which is pretty easy to do when you are going out to eat. And so I definitely recommend, if you know where you are going to eat ahead of time, or ask your friends, hey, where are we going to go eat if you don't know yet? And looking at the menu and pre-deciding what you are going to have. This is what I personally do as much as I can. And if you know what you are going to have, then I also recommend pre-tracking it. If you track your calories, if you track your macros, pre-track what you are going to eat into your macros and your nutrition so that you can plan the rest of your day around that meal. So for example, if I know that I'm going to go out to eat on Friday night and today is Tuesday, I'm going to look at the menu and pre-decide what I'm going to have. And then I'm going to pre-log my dinner for Friday so that when Friday comes, I can pre-plan breakfast and lunch ahead of time so that I know that I can, adjust breakfast and lunch to make room for dinner if dinner is going to be a higher calorie meal. So again, I highly recommend looking at the menu ahead of time and prioritizing the dishes that are centered around a lean high protein source or a high protein source and vegetables. That is my absolute go-to. And I know that's not available at all restaurants, but trying to order close to that as much as I can is definitely the easiest way for me to stay in line and on track with my calorie and my macro goals. And oftentimes, what I will do, a little hack for you, is I will actually order from the sides menu, because oftentimes at restaurants, they will have a side of protein that you can order, like a side of grilled chicken or a side of shrimp. And then they'll also have different vegetable sides. So often what I'll do is I'll just order a side of grilled chicken and then a side of broccoli. And that makes it so easy for me to stay in line with my calorie goals without overdoing it, without all the extra oils or condiments or other ingredients that are just not bad, but just harder to fit within my macro and my calorie goals. Okay, so if you are ordering with friends and you guys are sharing a family style dinner, and so you can't necessarily order the dish that you want because everyone's just sharing, all the plates and the dishes, what I recommend doing is having a plate, which you're obviously going to have from the restaurant, but you're going to have your plate. And I recommend filling it with, again, mainly the lean protein and vegetable sources. So generally with the family style dinner, you will be able to find the high protein and the vegetable sources from those dishes, and you can just pick and choose what you want and mainly make your plate up of that. And I recommend making 50% or more of your plate centered around the high protein, high vegetable choices. And then the other 50%, you can focus on whatever else you're craving or whatever else looks good, even if you know it may not be super calorie friendly. That's your other 50 to 25% of your plate. And I like to practice this one plate rule with my clients where they have their plate, they fill it with what they want, and they know whatever they put on their plate, that is what they are having for dinner. So knowing that, okay, what I'm putting on this one plate, that is all that I am having. I'm not going to go back for seconds. What it allows them to do is understand, okay, if I'm not going back for seconds, then I am going to make sure I really slowly eat and enjoy this meal, really slow down my eating pace so that I'm not scarfing down the food and I'm not listening to my hunger cues, because when you eat too quickly, you don't give your body enough time to actually register whether it is full or not. So when you eat slowly, when you take your time, when you take small bites, when you put your fork down between bites and really just experience every single bite that you have and not rush through the meal, which a lot of us can find ourselves doing, especially if we struggle with binge eating. So really setting the intention to slow down when you are eating, it allows your body to actually catch up and tell you when it is full, when you've had enough, so that you don't overeat. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to find that that one plate is more than enough. In the past, if you had more than one plate, the reason why it wasn't enough is often because, again, you just ate too quickly. So you didn't give your body enough time to catch up and really register if it was full or not. Now, if you have that one plate and you still find yourself a little bit hungry, what I recommend doing is having a full glass of water afterwards. That water is going to add obviously 0 calories. It's going to keep you hydrated, but it's also just going to help fill you up. It's going to help fill your stomach up physically and help you feel more full. And so that is a great tip that I use all of the time. And when I have that glass of water, I'm like, wow, I actually am not hungry anymore. I thought that I needed more food, but once I had that glass of water, I was good to go. So stick with that one plate. If you still find yourself hungry, have a glass of water, and you will find that after that glass of water, you're not going to be hungry anymore. Okay? And when it comes to, we touched on this in the beginning, but when it comes to alcohol and drinking alcohol, I no longer drink. I started drinking when I was 14 years old, and up until about a year ago, so when I was 27, so what is that, 13 years, I would consider myself a heavy drinker. And at one point, I was a borderline alcoholic, if not an alcoholic. I would have a full bottle of wine almost every night to de-stress. So my relationship with alcohol is different. And for me, having experienced being somebody who drank constantly to numb her emotions to now haven't drank in a year, I really have to say that not drinking has changed my life in the best way. And I think we all have our own journeys with alcohol. But what I recommend, if you do like to drink when you're going out to eat, I would recommend sticking to the smallest amount of alcohol that you can have while still enjoying your dinner. So if you normally drink a glass of wine, I challenge you to just have half of your glass. Drink it really slowly. Just like you eat, drink it slowly, savor every single sip, really taste the flavors, really enjoy what you have, but try to slow down. Try to stick to the smallest amount that you can have, because at the end of the day, your body does treat alcohol like a poison. And so when you drink alcohol, what happens is that your metabolism of all the other macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats actually comes to a halt until your body can get rid of the toxin, the alcohol. And so if you are somebody who already struggles to make progress on your fat loss journey, reducing or even cutting out alcohol, it is going to make such a difference in your journey. But again, I know that we all have our own journeys with alcohol, and this is something that I definitely encourage you to explore on your own. But just from a progress perspective, reducing or cutting out alcohol will help you make more progress, but also just feel better. You won't have the hangovers. You'll save so much money when you go out to eat. You will have so much more clarity, so much more clear-headedness. There are so many benefits to reducing your alcohol. And if you tend to drink out of social anxiety, you probably resonate with what I'm saying. You know that you drink more than you want to, but it's that social anxiety and feeling like you're not fun enough, feeling like you can't have as much fun or be comfortable without the alcohol. And if that resonates with you, I highly recommend, first of all, doing the inner work to find that self-love and self-acceptance and celebrate the amazing things that you do have about you, so that when you go out to social events, you don't compare yourself to this person or that person. You are so solid in who you are and the gifts and uniqueness that you have, that you don't feel the need to drink, so that you can have fun, so that you can be comfortable, so that you can accept who you are. But where I want to leave this is reducing your alcohol will help you in making better food choices, feeling better overall, and just seeing more progress on your fitness journey. So reducing your alcohol as much as possible is going to be a huge benefit. Now, if you do decide to drink, then I highly recommend sticking to the lower sugar, lower calorie alcohol options. What I will do is actually put a list right here so you can see what I would recommend if you decide, hey, I still want to drink. That's something I want to include in my journey. That's totally fine. I will, like I said, I'll put them on the side over here so that you can see what I would recommend and what I do recommend to my clients who do still choose to drink. Okay. Whew. All right. This was a very fun video for me to make, because I know that when I used to go out to eat and drink and go out to restaurants, it was a whole ordeal. It was such a stressor in my journey. And I have come to really enjoy going out to eat now, because it is a symbol of how far I've come, both physically, but most importantly, mentally. It's a really cool comparison to see, wow, when I used to go out, I used to be so stressed out. I used to be in my head the day before, the day of, the day after. It was just the end of the world. And now I feel like a normal person. I go out to eat and I move on. I plan as best as I can, but because I've resolved a lot of the inner work that was causing my overeating and over drinking, I can eat moderately Again, I focus mainly on protein and veggies. If there's other things that I like, I will incorporate that in there. I will track it into my nutrition and account for it as best as I can. But it's just crazy how far I've come. And I know that's possible for you too. I know without a doubt, I've seen it with my clients who, just like me, they would stress out so much about going out to eat. It's baby steps. It doesn't happen overnight. It surely didn't happen overnight for me, but it is absolutely, absolutely possible for you. Now, if you are interested in working with me one-on-one and you want to reach your fitness goals, you want to overcome yo-yo dieting, you want to overcome binge eating, you want to feel so good in your body and with your relationship with food, then go ahead and visit my website at www.teamevolve.co, and you can go ahead and submit an application form to work with me. You can also follow me on my other social medias if you would like to see more content from yours truly, at Instagram at Vivian No, and TikTok at Vivian No with an underscore at the end. And if you want to see more yo-yo dieting content from me, then go ahead and click on this video right here. And girl, just thank you. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing this experience with me. Thank you so much. Bye.